Hey guys, this is UK Gaming here, back with another scripting tutorial, and today I am going to be teaching you about how to make a shift to sprint script. Now, you've probably seen this in many games, in fact. Basically, a shift to sprint is, self-explanatory. You press shift, and you basically go faster, your walk speed goes up. And so, if you want to implement this in your game, of course, yes, you could find a plugin and, do all that. Or you could actually learn it yourself and actually try to script it yourself. And that's what I'm going to teach you today. So, the first thing we should actually go through first is how to make the player faster. Now, I'll try making everything very quick and not self-explanatory, but just brief. So I'm just going to quickly copy this. So paste this in, and boom. Okay. So imagine this is just some rando player in your game. Okay. Now inside the player, there is something called the humanoid. I'm very sorry. The humanoid is right here, as you can see. I'm selecting it right now. Now, the humanoid basically controls the player, okay? It's basically the life inside it. And you can see it kind of shows, about everything, its jump power, if it's jumping or not, what it's standing on right now, all that stuff. Now, if you scroll all the way down in the humanoid, you can see this thing called walk speed. And if you turn this up, the player's walk speed, of course, is going to go faster. If you turn it down, it's going to go slower. The standard walk speed is 16, just so you know. Now, when this player presses shift, we want this humanoid's walk speed to go up. And when the shift button is basically not pressed anymore, we want this walk speed to go down. And from one of my previous videos, we are going to use UserInputService to do this. So yeah, let's get started. Now, in this, you will need to use a local script for this, and the reason for that is, once again, UserInputService is local, which means that it kind of only applies to the player. But of course, yeah, the effects happen server-wide, but it requires a client or a player's input. So you could really just put it in anywhere that is unique to the player. So things like starter pack or starter GUI or starter player scripts. Please do not do starter character. It's just kind of gonna make it a little harder for me personally. So try to stick with one of these three: starter player script, starter pack, and starter GUI. For this one, I'm just going to put it in starter GUI. Alright, so the first thing we need to do is get the UserInputService, because once again, UserInputService isn't really in here either way. Plus, you can't really reference UserInputService. It just doesn't work out. So we're going to need to use the function, I guess. Game::get service UserInputService. So this is how we're going to get the user's input, pretty much. So let's put this into a variable. So let's go local UIS for UserInputService. There we go. Now we're going to have to use one of the events in UserInputService. And if I go down here, oh, it is not in here. Well, what we're going to do is we're going to use the event UIS.inputsBegan. There we go. Now, basically, what this is saying is that when we're going to get this player's input, and it's just saying when this player presses a key. So I'm just going to say uis.inputBegan colon connect function input. Yeah, why not? So basically, what this is saying now is once the player presses a button, so that's uis.inputBegan. Inputs basically, yeah, when the player presses a button or gives information. Colon connect, pretty self-explanatory. Function, once again, pretty self-explanatory. And then we have input and get. Now, I'm going to quickly go over it again. Input is the key that is pressed. So if I press G, input's going to be G, all that stuff. Then get is basically, get is basically saying whether the input, whether UserInputService got it or not. We're not going to use get, but it's good to just keep it in here just because we're not going to use it in this tutorial, but hey, good habit to make. So then after this, we are going to start with the if statement. So we're going to say if input.keycode, because once, let's say the person presses, once again, the letter G. Oh, sorry about that. Let's say the person presses the letter G. Instead of it just being G, this is going to actually be input.keycode.g. This is pretty much, enum. But basically, when the person presses G, this is what it's actually going to be to UserInputService. So right now, if the player presses G, input is going to become enum.keycode.g pretty much. So if we say if input.keycode equals enum.keycode.g, then we'll put this up here, then do whatever. So long story short, this is saying if the person's input is equal to G, then do this. Now, because we're making a shift to sprint script, you could probably guess what we're going to put here. Left shift. Of course, you can use right shift, but remember, everybody uses WASD, and the closest shift button is the one on the left side, which is the one that most people use. So enum.keycode.leftShift, then now we are going to put the script in here. So what we're going to do is we're going to go, yes, do not worry, I will explain this right after. But game.workspace, players.local player.name. Sorry, my bad. Workspace name dot humanoid dot walk speed equals, let's go 25. Alright, let me quickly run over what in the world this is. So game.workspace, yes, that's pretty self-explanatory. But then what is this? Yeah, this is some thing from beyond. But basically, what this is saying is we are going to get the player's name, because when you're in a local script and you're trying to reference the player, you can't really reference it unless the script is inside the player. And this script's not inside the player. But what it is inside is the local kind of player. So not the player in the workspace, but the player in the player's player's service. So basically, long story short, this is just getting the player's name, or the certain player's name that I did input. So if my name was, I'm gonna use my Roblox name, Dynamic Steel Kid, this would automatically be converted to .dynamic steel kid. That's basically what that's basically what this does right here. Then after that, we are going to reference the humanoid, which is that player, basically the life of the player. Then the walk speed. Once again, pretty self-explanatory. Now, you could set this to whatever you want, okay? This just determines how fast the player goes when he runs. after that, you're actually that is pretty much all for the input. So we're not uh doing the time where the person lets go. No, not just yet. But basically, let me just quickly go over it before we actually get to the input ended part. But basically, let's say the person presses the letter, yeah, let's say he presses shift, okay? Left shift. So the user input service is going to detect that pretty much, and it's going to start this function right here. Then this if statement is going to check if the key that's pressed is left shift. If it is, then bump up the player's walk speed to 25. Now we're going to start. Now you could copy and paste this. It would just be easier for both of us. Then all you have to change is input ended, and then change it back to the standard walk speed or whatever walk speed you desire when the person is not sprinting. So let me just quickly go through what this is again. Now, the user input service senses that a key has stopped being pressed. So let's assume the player has stopped pressing shift. Then it's going to do the function. Now this input is going to be whatever key was basically let go. So then, I know, bad grammar, but then it's saying if the person let go of the left shift key, then lower down his walk speed. So, whoops, if we see this in action, and all my scripting is correct, you see I am currently walking, I'm not pressing shift, but if I do press shift, you can see that I'm running faster. See, not pressing shift, and pressing shift, not pressing shift, pressing shift. And once again, this is all because of this good old user input service. So yeah, that's pretty much all I have for you today. If you do have any questions, just please leave them in the comments. I will see if I can answer them. But other than that, I hope this helps you in some way making your game. Stay safe out there. It's getting pretty nasty, I guess. And yeah, see you soon. Bye.